What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another great day in the sunny state of Tucson, Arizona. Welcome back to my garage. Welcome back to Everything Averin. And as you guys already know, we have the GTR. If you haven't seen the first video yet, I'll post the link up right now. Go watch us get this guy, get it delivered. 2 different videos. But it was a fiasco, just to say the least. So we didn't waste no time with the GTR. Got all the stuff ready to go for another project, which we hope is going to go real smooth. You can see the back tires are off the ground. We are up in the air because we are going to be working on the e-brake. One thing I noticed when I first got this guy, I'm parking in the driveway, which is a slight decline, and it couldn't hold its own weight on the e-brake in neutral. Automatically that points to something's wrong. Not necessarily wrong, maybe they're just worn, but nonetheless, the brake shoes inside the rear brakes are not as tight as they should be. So we're going to jump right into this guy today. First thing you want to do is you're going to get your GTR up off the ground. They're notoriously low. Definitely, I would recommend you guys picking up any brand of a low profile long reach jack. Not only does it help you get underneath low cars as such as this, but it also has long reach so you can use it on things like the truck. For GTRs, if you're jacking up the rear, hopefully you guys can see in the camera, but there's this little niblet that pops out in the bottom just underneath the rear axles. That's actually the rear lifting point. So get your long reach jack up underneath that, start jacking it up, and you're good to go. There's this little metal plate right here underneath, and that's where you place your jack stands so you're safe and secure. We're going ahead and taking off the rear wheels. Not too sure what size luglets you may have. If you have aftermarkets, they'll be aftermarket. If you have the stock OEM ones, I'm not sure what size they are. You'll first get those guys off. Make sure you loosen it while it's still on the ground so you can get the lug nuts off. Brother just got the tire off, and look at how meaty these guys are. That is wide as ever. Now you have access to this massive rear rotor. These are like bigger than the Scion's rims and tires were. Alright guys, so in order to get to the brake shoes, which actuate and operate the e-brake handle, they're actually up underneath the rotor. But first, this huge caliper is going to have to get out of the way. So I'm actually going to try to get it off without actually having to take out the brake pads. You can see here, there's this little tensioner spring here. Then you got 2 pins which hold the tensioner spring in place, which hold the brake pads inside the caliper. So I'm going to try to actually just leave that there. And these 2 bolts here, there's one big bolt there, one big bolt down there. They're actually an Allen wrench. They're a size 10 Allen wrench, and yeah, they're huge. So you'll probably need a breaker bar, something like that, and that's how you'll get these guys out. Once you get them broke, as far as the torque goes, they're really easy to come out. So just make sure you got a good hold on the caliper so it doesn't fall. So you'll have some room to actually take the caliper off, set it up on the top. I like to zip tie it to the top of the suspension, like you've seen me do in all my videos before. So now that I got the bolt out, have him hold the weight, and he'll lift it up. And yep, just like I thought, the brake pads actually stay in place. You can kind of see them in there. So they'll stay in place, and you don't actually have to loosen them or remove them in order to take off the entire caliper. So now that you got that up, hung, and out of the way, the whole rotor itself should come off. We actually were lucky on the other side, and it came off without having to bang it. Nope, looks like we're gonna have to do some work on this one. We go ahead and we're gonna tap on it with a dead blow hammer. You want to be careful to not hit your dust shield in the back, but that will actually loosen it up. We also sprayed around the hub using a little bit of this beautiful PB blaster. That works great. So we'll go ahead and set this huge rotor aside, and now you can see at the bottom there's this inner area, and that's actually where your brake shoes or your e-brake will ride. Now that we're looking at the shoes themselves, there's pretty much little to no pad material left, which is definitely contributing to the fact that I have a weak e-brake. So now that we're at this point, it's time to get some new ones. Alright guys, brake shoes. These guys, like I said earlier, are just the same as any other vehicle. Their mechanisms to hold stuff in place may be slightly different. Nonetheless, we got the spring up top, we got the little adjuster up here up top, we got the little push pins which hold the actual shoes in place. And over here at the bottom, if you can see, that's actually where the e-brake mechanism is. There's the line that goes straight back towards the axles, and that's actually what will pull and then spread these shoes out to engage your e-brake. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna remove the spring up top. Actually, I'm gonna reduce the adjuster first because it seemed like it was under just a decent amount of pressure. On the driver's side, I'm turning it clockwise if you guys are looking from the back of the vehicle to the front. So we should be good there now. That should give me a little bit of extra room to be able to grab this spring and hopefully get it off. There you go. Top spring. That's off. We'll set that aside. So now I'm actually going to tackle the little slot shaped hole. So you end up going in facing the slot, then you turn it sideways and it locks in place. So same thing on this one. You can't really see it, but it's back there. I'm going to push in, turn it so it lines up with the slot, then I'll pull it out, and then this pin holding the shoe in place will come out. Boom, just like normal. There's the little T, just like on the Accent. Push it in, turn it so it lines up with the slot, which you can now kind of see the slot right there. So that goes on one side, and I'll do it again on the other side. And then just make sure you catch your little adjuster guy here, just so it doesn't fall. Pull off the adjuster, and keep the adjuster in the same orientation, so I just don't have to worry about how to put it back on. I'm gonna kind of get low, and I'm gonna take off the bottom adjuster spring, and we should be good to go. The shoes may fall after this, but it's okay because we're gonna get new shoes. So these springs are pretty tight, but you take your time and you'll get them. All right, so the spring's off of the left side shoe. So there's your left shoe, and then here's your right shoe. And I'll leave the spring on there again, just so we can focus on the orientation. Set it on the ground. And boom, there you go. You have your brake shoe configuration sitting on the ground. Alright, so we just got back from AutoZone. And just in case you guys were wondering, AutoZone does have the brake shoes. They call them the parking brake shoes if they have trouble looking them up. I just got Duralast. I'm not sponsored by Duralast. You'll probably see an affiliated link down below. Part number for Duralast at AutoZone is 869. They're pretty much exactly the same. No difference whatsoever, besides the fact that these ones have a lot more meat on them. So just like in all my other brake drum videos, I went ahead and sprayed it with some brake clean to kind of get most of the dust off. There's still those contact pads which are on the back of the shoes. You can see them sticking out here. So I'm gonna give those a good wipe down and put a little bit of some synthetic brake grease, and then we'll go ahead and actually start reassembling. So first thing I'm deciding to do is I'm gonna go ahead and get the little spring and put it in place. As far as the orientation goes, you have like a wider opening and a skinnier opening. The wider opening is going to go to the top, skinnier opening is going to go to the bottom, and that little groove on the shoe is actually going to sit in place. You can barely see it. There's a little groove right here on the bottom of the pull mechanism for the parking brake. So spring on first, and then I'm going to go ahead and hand the camera to my brother, and I'm going to get this right side shoe on. Alright, so like I said, that gap goes right here in this mechanism slot there. You lift up, make sure it's all in place, and then I gotta get the other side, somewhat put it in place. This is gonna be a little bit more difficult because it's like a three-hand job. What's hard is that the spring goes on top of the mechanism, so you have to put it on top first and then hook it in place. Set that side there, put the other side on, which it's in there now. So now let's see if I can get it, the spring that is, to pull into place. Probably won't be the easiest task. I'm not gonna say it was easy because it wasn't. The bottom spring is in place. Now we're gonna make our way to the top after I just verify we are indeed good at the bottom. So now at the top, put the little adjuster pin in there. I put a little bit of lube inside there so that can spin in there nice and freely. The groove is going to fit on both sides of the adjuster pin, just like that. It's going to kind of be all off for a while, which is okay because that's what it's just going to be like for now. We'll go ahead and we'll try to get this spring in place, and I think I got it on the first try. Here we go. Last but not least are these pins. So these pins are going to be fun because not only do we have to hold the shoes in their correct spot, but we also got to push in on the pin, make sure we can get into that hole. You can't see it from the camera, I do apologize, but I'll show you how it looks when I get it in there. There we go. There we go. One's in. Cross our fingers, hope we can get this other side in to go. There we go. Got it. So now let me show you what I did. So again, with those push pins, there's the slot down, back up over there. Push it in, turn it, and it'll lock itself in place on both sides. Of course, you got the adjuster pin right here that sits on the spring. The spring itself actually keeps it from turning. We're actually going to be turning that here in a bit, but not until we get the rotor back on. Then at the bottom, where most stuff is, again, you got to make sure the bottom of the shoes, that groove fits into place right where your little e-brake pull mechanism is. For this lug that you'll see on the bottom, you want your shoes to kind of create a continuous circle all the way around so that they're almost lined up with this half moon shape here, and that's pretty much all you need. So this is how you change out your e-brake shoes on a Nissan GTR. And I'm pretty sure it's very similar from every year from 2009 to 2016. Not too sure about the 2017s and newer, but since they're drums, I'm pretty sure they're going to be identical. So now we'll go ahead and place this guy back on, and what you want to make sure you're doing is there's that hole on there where we pulled out the little stopper. We want that to line up right here where your little adjustment pin is. There it is. And there we go, we got it on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the spin test. I put 2 lug nuts onto the rotor just to hold it in place. And as you can tell, I can spin it and you hear nothing. So I'm going to go inside this hole. You guys can't really see, but you'll see the adjuster. Then I'm going to actually start spinning that little adjustment nut, and then keep spinning it, check it, click it, spin it, check it, click it. And pretty much I'm going to go until this guy just starts to make contact. And by this guy I mean the shoes, and I'll probably back off 1 from there. So we're going to do that off camera. I'll tell you how many clicks it took me, but that may be different for you. So we're pretty much almost done. I'm going to show you how to put the caliper back onto the rotor. Really, there's just those 2 bolts, which is this top bolt there and that bottom bolt there, which line up perfectly with those 2 mounting points on the back of the bracket. Then we'll get those bolts torqued to 58 foot-pounds. They're big bolts, so you don't have to worry about them too much. Your torque wrench, there's 1, and we'll get the top one, and boom, there's 2. Now we're going to go ahead and grab the wheel. I'll take off these lug nuts, which I had holding the rotor in place, put the wheel on, and you guys are literally done. We'll go ahead and get it snug. I like to give it about half the torque, which about half torque is about 50 foot-pounds. GTRs, at least the regular editions, not the Nismo editions, they take a torque of 97 foot-pounds. So like I said, about half of that is 50. So I'll do that 50 while it's up in the air, and then I'll do the full 97 once we get it back on the ground. We're actually going to jump to the other side of the vehicle, do the exact same procedure on that side. It's literally just a mirror image, so you guys don't need to watch that. Once you guys are done, just make sure you're careful when you're jacking the vehicle back up. Get the jack stands out of the way, and then let her down nice and soft. But as always, guys, thank you for watching another great episode of Everything Avron with my brother Carlos. So stay tuned for more. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment if you guys have any questions and whatnot. We're going to call it for today's video. Thank you again. Y'all have a good one.